This week's top story comes out of the Orlando Sentinel, where Derek Cam is reporting that two medical cannabis operators, MMTCs, have filed administrative complaints seeking more storefront locations. These complaints come after one MMTC, Trulieve, recently settled with the state of Florida to lift the number of retail locations they are allowed to open. So, going back in time, when Rick Scott rolled out our medical cannabis program under Amendment 2 in 2017, he imposed a cap of 25 dispensaries each operator was allowed to open. So, if you held an MMTC license, you can open 25 retail locations to sell your products. Now, this doesn't take into consideration local ordinances, so the opportunities are limited in terms of zoning and land use. But nonetheless, they still had the opportunity to open 25 locations. This number has gradually increased as the number of qualified patients have increased. So when we hit 200,000 patients, each MMTC gained 5 more retail dispensary locations as the 2017 law dictates. But there's nothing in the Florida Constitution that creates such a limit on the number of retail locations an MMTC can open. This retail location cap was implemented through the Florida legislature in 2017, among many other requirements like limiting the total number of MMTC licenses themselves the state can issue, in addition to mandating vertical integration. Many lawsuits have come up as a result of this law, but Trulieve filed a complaint in 2018 saying that the cap on dispensary retail locations was arbitrary and unconstitutional. If you want an in-depth breakdown of Trulieve's successful lawsuit that led to these two new dispensaries that we're talking about today filing administrative complaints, go ahead back to April 5th episode to get a full breakdown on the Trulieve legal battle that brings us to this story today. But just for some cliff notes, Trulieve in their lawsuit asked the court to keep their current dispensary locations that have already been approved and applied for, and they asked the court to be allowed to open 25 more dispensary locations under its MMTC license. Trulieve's lawsuit ended up going all the way to the appellate court, and back in April, state health officials dropped their appeal of the lower court ruling, which was in favor of Trulieve, thus agreeing to allow Trulieve to open more dispensaries than the statutory cap imposed. The settlement agreement was signed by Trulieve CEO Kim Rivers and Courtney Coppola, who's the director of the Office of Medical Marijuana Use, back in April, and under the agreement, Trulieve is allowed to open a total of 49 dispensaries, its original 14 dispensaries it had opened, plus the temporary cap of 35 included in the 2017 law. This is before the cap will be eliminated in 2020. Trulieve won their court battle. They got their extra dispensaries. But now this week, two other MMTCs, Suterra and Curaleaf, are now seeking the same treatment as Trulieve got. So, both operators filed administrative complaints accusing health officials of creating an invalid rule with their settlement with Trulieve, and they're also asking to lift the dispensary cap for them as well, because the Trulieve settlement only allowed Trulieves themselves to open more than the state imposed cap of 35 retail locations. Trulieve's settlement did not apply to every MMTC in the state. Now MMTCs are reacting to the settlement and want equal treatment. Lawyers for Suterra and Curaleaf are arguing that allowing the settlement to only apply to Trulieve and not to the other MMTCs in the state of Florida, lawmakers are restricting access to medicine and granting Trulieve an improper competitive advantage. So to put this into perspective, these three companies are part of the original Big Five who were granted licenses in November of 2015 under the low THC laws Florida had. This was our first medical cannabis program, and those five being Suterra, Curaleaf, Trulieve, Liberty, and Knox Medical, who is now rebranded under the name Fluent Cannabis. But nowadays we have smaller MMTCs through Governor DeSantis issuing more licenses, so we're starting to see, or really have already saw, the range of MMTCs you're going to be able to find in the state of Florida. You can find MMTCs that have sold only 1 gram of cannabis, you can find MMTCs that don't even have a single retail location open, and you could also find other mammoths like Curaleaf, who recently struck a deal with CVS, the largest drugstore chain by total sales in the United States, to carry Curaleaf hemp lotions and transdermal patches. The deal between Curaleaf and CVS will put Curaleaf products in about 800 stores across the United States. Curaleaf has a license in Florida, but they have expanded to become a multi-state operator. Not only a multi-state operator, but Curaleaf is the most valuable United States cannabis company. Just recently, last month, they acquired Cura Partners, a maker of oil for vape pens, in a stock deal valued at about $950 million. That makes it the largest acquisition so far between U.S. cannabis companies. So it's just interesting to see the bigger players battle it out in our state. It's really the bigger players who move the needle. Trulieve has been making waves in the news. They got their settlement agreement. Now Curaleaf and Sutera, who's also another big cannabis operator, trying to get their piece of the cake. But this isn't the first time the Florida cannabis program has been called unfair. Remember all of those MMTC applicants sued to get their licenses? DeSantis ended up issuing a bunch of those last month, and we have the Florida-grown lawsuits still going on as well. Issues in the Florida cannabis space tend to get resolved through litigation, so I'm excited to see what ends up happening here. The administrative judge consolidated both Sutera's and Curaleaf's complaints and set a hearing date for May 28th. We will definitely follow this story up as it continues to develop. So will these two complaints lead more MMTCs to follow suit? Do you think allowing only Trulieve to operate more dispensaries than the statutory imposed cap of 35 is unfair? The other MMTCs do have to wait to open new locations when the statute says they can. Every time we gain 100,000 patients. Let me know on Twitter what you think, _FL Cannabis News. I'd love to continue the conversation there and see what other people in the community think. You could find more quotes from this story in Derek Ham's article in the Orlando Sentinel, linked below in the show notes.